Hi, hello all, very good morning. So today again we would be continuing with the business letters. Yesterday as we all had discussed about the various forms of business letters, now we would further continue it. Apart from the forms, we need various other things that we need to take care of. That is, one is the salutation and the second one is the subscriptions. We all know whether it's official or personal. In business letter or even personal letters, salutations has its own importance, and according to what type of the letter it is, whom we are addressing, accordingly goes as salutations, and according to the salutations, and again the same thing, to whom are we addressing, accordingly even goes our subscriptions. So today we would be looking at various different types of salutations according to the people that we are talking to, whom we are addressing according to it, and we would be even taking care of the subscription part. So now when we are looking into, when we are talking first salutation, fine, when we are looking at salutation, the first point that we would be covering today is the salutation. And in salutation, first even again let's talk about the blood relations. So when we are in salutation, when we are addressing the blood relation, a blood relation when it is, how would we address into, whether even if it is a business letter or a personal letter, when it is a blood relation, again we would address it accordingly. So how would it be? When it is salutation, it would be my dear. Again please remember M and D, both the words M, my, M should be in capital because it's a proper noun, it's a pronoun again, and D, dear, we are addressing the person, so again it should be in capital. Then my dear, whatever is the relationship, father, mother, or whatever the relation is, brother, sister, whatever we take it to. So whatever the relation is, as per the relation, because this is blood relation, we would go with my dear, because they are near and dear one of us. So we would address them accordingly. Now when apart from salutation, when we are talking about in blood relation, the subscription, what would we do? Subscription is again at the end, when we will be the conclusion, after the conclusion, how would we end it up? Yours affectionately, yours lovingly, fine. So accordingly, in subscription, according to your relationship, you would mention yours affectionately or lovingly. You can even mention it with your loving daughter or your loving son. So it is your affectionate son. So accordingly, how close your relationship is, you can again, but again it should be an proper format of even concluding that. Apart from the business letter, when we are looking at total salutations, see, even when you are writing, sometimes even this personal letters even need to be a bit official. So how would we do is this way. Next, when we are looking at, when it is to our friends, first we completed is the blood relation, second is the friends. In friends again, when we talk about salutation, fine, and subscription. Blood relation we have completed. Now when we are going with this, how would it be? Now again when you are talking to your friend, you can again go as my dear, following with name, or you can even go with dear name. This is how you can address it. Now when next we are going is, how would we subscribe it? How would we close it? Again, in this case, you can use yours sincerely or yours friendly. You can even say always yours, yours always. It's like again how you are, how again it is in such cases, what type of relationship it is, how close connectivity is, you would again address it accordingly. Now when we are talking about the acquaintances, see again in this case, when it is into your business letter, when you are addressing someone, some professionally connected with you, your acquaintance whom you are addressing, you can address it as dear Mr. Let's give it name, the last name. Fine, again it would be last name. And again, when they are professors and others, how would you, when professors or doctorates you are addressing, you would not address Mr. You would say dear professor name, last name. And again, same with doctorate, dear doctor, doctorate, because again that's a title. Their qualification itself is a title, a highly dignified title, which we would address accordingly with their last name. In such case, how would we continue the subscription? We would say yours sincerely, yours truly, yours faithfully. So these are the few ways that you can subscribe. Last, the conclusion that you would give, because again it should sound professional. You cannot close it or end it unprofessionally. You have to end it up, conclude in a professional manner, which we would take care of. Fine. Next one we are taking is to our highly officials. Again, next one we are looking is to highly officials. Now again in this, how would we address? Now when we are talking about this salutation and subscription. Fine, when we are looking into this, salutations and subscriptions, there are few people we don't address because we highly respect them. We don't address them with name or other things. We don't, even if we know their titles, might be they are doctorates, might be they are professors or whatever, but we would not, because the respect that we carry for them, for their position, is highly regardable. In such cases, we can address it as dear sir, oblique ma'am, madam. So again, whom we are talking to accordingly. If it is sir, dear sir, or even you can give it as respected sir or ma'am, madam. Fine, you can go accordingly. You can even use dear and respected. Again, it depends on in what type of condition. So now when we are talking about, this is how we would. Again in highly officials, when will we use dear and respected? Dear is again, suppose we are talking to our managers, but again to our managers, our traders, our business partners, fine, directors, principal, because principal sir is again the first point of contact that we all connect with, so it's hardly regardable. So again principal sirs and various other higher officials directly connected to us. In such case, with whom you are getting connected, we managers and others we meet on a regular basis. So we can call them dear sir. But principal sir, director sir, ma'am, whomever it is, we would not go with the dear, we would go with respected sir and ma'am. So again we have to recognize whom we are addressing, what type of connectivity we have, and accordingly we would go with this thing. Next one we are talking about how would we subscribe it. Again over here you can give yours faithfully, yours obediently, you can give even yours sincerely. You can address, these are the official ways that you would, yours faithfully, yours obediently, yours sincerely. Again please remember the subscription, the closing, the conclusion for letters and emails, please don't get confused with it, they both differ. So when we would we would be discussing about emails, we would accordingly discuss for that, but as of now when we are talking about letters, this is the formal way that we would follow and we would go accordingly. Then again when we are into the business letters, when we are looking into for job applications, again in this case this would be salutation, subscription. Fine. So now when we are looking into for job application, when we need not give dear or respected. Fine. We can start it as, we can start with respected even, or even we can directly go with sir or ma'am, even we can go with respected sir or ma'am, madam. And again over here yours faithfully would come, because the information that you are going to share for in a job application, when you are going to share it, the business letter or you are going to connect, or the application that you are going to share, they don't know you. Fine. So whatever you are sharing, your CV or whatever the thing that you are sharing officially, in that case again when they don't know you, so you need not say dear to the person. You can even directly go with sir and then you go greetings for the day and you can proceed further, or even you can say respected sir oblique ma'am, whatever is the subject you can mention it accordingly, you can proceed further accordingly. And for the subscription it would go, yes, it would go with only yours faithfully, because whatever information that I have shared, it's trustable, faithfully sharing it. Fine. So we would be going in this way. Then when we are proceeding further, see what are the contents and letters which are important. When apart from this, now when we are looking at content of the letter, when we would be talking of content of a letter, first we would be taking care of is, first is address. First is we would take care of address, and yesterday as discussed with various forms, when we were talking about the first form, the full bold, full block pattern, the form, we would be addressing again it on the left hand side. So accordingly we have to share our address, the receiver's address and the sender's address, both accordingly, one after the other. Then we will have second is the date. So again date changes, there are different formats. Again yesterday when we had seen two different formats, in one format we had date towards the left side and in other format we had date towards the right side. But yes, both the forms can go, both the format can go, and when we were looking at all the three different formats that we had taken care of, you can write the date accordingly, that yes, if it is on the right top, the topmost you will have to mention is the date. Fine, and that is only the best way in letter writing or in email writing that we would go is with the date. Third point that we are looking at is we would be subject or the topic. So what is the subject? For what are we writing this? What is the purpose? And please remember, the subject has to be short and sweet. It has to be crisp and clear. In a glance, a person should understand for what is this letter for. Subject has its own impact. Many times people don't have time to read the complete letter or mail. They just give a glance at the subject. So what is this for? Once they see the subject, that fascinates them, they feel how important it is, and that's how then they proceed further for reading the letter or mail. So please be specific about the subject you're talking, subject and the topic. It should be the precise, crisp and clear. It's like applying for job, and in brackets you can mention the position, or application for, mention only the position. You need not say applying for job. Application for this job. So accordingly it depends. Further that they know, as they had shared their, you should have got this information from somewhere, so they have this requirement, they'll immediately look into it. Next one we are looking is, yes, as we have already studied about salutations. So now we all know about salutations, how would we take care of? Fine. So please remember that and proceed further accordingly. Next one we are talking is the fifth point. It's the complimentary note, or yes, you can call so. Before beginning the letter, the way we address it, the complimentary this thing, good morning, good evening, or the greetings for the day, the salutations, after the salutation that we next proceed further is the complimentary note. Then next point that we will be taking care of is the title. This is again important, title. So there are various titles, like when we are looking at Mr., Mrs., Doctor, Miss, Sir, Madam. So these are the various titles that we would be taking care of. So accordingly we will have to, and while we were taking care of the salutation part, we have learnt about that how would we go with. Next point that we would be taking care of is signature, which is again the most important point. Fine, signature. So when we are talking about the signature part, your name, the details that you want to share, accordingly it would be mentioned. Your signature has its own impact, and I think there is no duplicate, there should not be duplicacy of it. So your signature every time has to be the same. It cannot be changing. So the signature column when we are saying, so whosoever is concluding or writing this letter, it would that be that person, or in such some cases when a company might be your PA has returned the letter, but the signature goes as yours. So again you will have to please take care of that, don't sign without reading the matter. So again that part of signature would be taken care of. In signature again we have is the name, which is must. It should be understandable, carrying your name and then your signature. Name must be clear, your name, and that must be clearly understandable. So this is all that we would be taking care of. And lastly I would say is, whenever the business letters, the enclosures and all that you are taking care of, please be careful. Go through everything before the signature part. Please read it carefully and all the enclosures spoken about should be attached. So please take care of these points and have a real good writing, a professional writing of the business letters, because that has its own impact, that carries your image. Your business letter, when mailed or posted, it carries your impact, your image, and I think that values a lot. And so please learn, understand and have a happy letter writing. Thank you and have a great day.